Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, or like a book club for people who hate reading. This week we're doing the James Bond film Casino Royale, and we bring you movie news. This week we have Jonathan Chargo, James Stevens, Ryan, oh my god, Preston, and the old guy.
Hey, the old guy is here.
So who has the description of this film?
Armed with a license to kill,
okay, go on.
secret agent James Bond sets out on his first mission as 007 and must defeat a weapons dealer in a high-stakes game of poker at Casino Royale, but things are not what they seem.
No.
And there's no Woody Allen.
No.
Yes.
Ryan, you're up.
Well, okay,
Actually,
jumping right into...
Yeah, it's picked for him.
Well, let's see. Well, I'm glad Rob decided to
Be
take
nice.
it easy, as it were.
Thank you for Dog Day afternoon or tax
And not make
Or
it
the
up
original
long or
Casino Royale.
complicated or boring. This is-
I love this movie. I mean, and for
Wait,
actually
you
finally
after not
somebody
remember seeing it.
for finally somebody who finally made the very first Bond movie that should have been made 10 movies ago.
10.
Well, yeah, however many Bond movies. Seems like there've been 10 Bond movies.
I was going to say
and
20.
this is actually how he gets his. You know how he gets his 00?
He kills people.
You have to kill 2 people to get 00.
Ah.
right.
But what were you saying about alligator something or whatever, Ryan?
Alligators. No, I was glad that they didn't choose anything long or complicated or boring as shit.
Yeah.
This is
Like some
sort
people
of-
we know.
Wait a minute.
movie instantly.
Hold on for a second. Let's go back to that long. How long is this movie?
Okay, but long but entertaining. You don't even
Thank
you.
notice
There you
the
go.
2.5
Thank
hours.
you.
It's 2 hours and 24 minutes. I do have a question then, since this was the first Bond movie with James Bond Jr., as they called him, the Blonde Bond. What do you guys think of Daniel Craig?
I think he's amazing.
I like Daniel Craig.
Zero problems whatsoever.
Yeah, I thought he did an amazing job as Bond.
The only thought I had a little bit is that I kept thinking maybe his character was just a little old to get his first 00.
Yeah, but
That was the only thing. But
Well, in the books, Bond was supposed to be, like 55.
well, as
Really?
it goes on, but this is supposed to be the very first.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
just
first
became
mission.
a 00.
yeah,
He could have been 00 at 38
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
and then worked his way up to, Colonel, or I think it was Colonel, wasn't he?
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
He had a pretty high ranking.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, any more points? Anything you want to discuss, Ryan?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I after watching it the first time, yeah, it was one of those that I knew was going to become, one of those like, oh, if I ever catch this on cable or if I need to fall asleep watching something, I can throw on this one,
I can't fall asleep watting this one.
No, that's too much. Well, there are periods, though.
There
Yeah,
are some
entirely
periods.
entertaining, more or less. The one knock I could give it is, I think they were playing Baccarat in the original
Yes,
one.
they
I
were.
think they went to Hold'em just based on the popularity of the game at the time the movie came out.
well, I think it also helps that most people don't know Baccarat
People
versus
don't know
everybody knows
Baccarat,
poker.
but they never had a problem putting Baccarat in Bond movies before. They just
Can you
never
guys
decided to
pronounce
explain
it properly? It's Baccarat.
Baccarat, and I don't think.
Okay, but I'm American.
And
Okay,
that just
You're Mexican,
there's the
get it
point. There's the point. You don't really know the game.
Well, I do know how to play Baccarat, but it's one of those that I forget the little minuscule rules to it all the time.
And you're going to bet millions of dollars
Yeah,
forgetting
so-
the
Well,
minuscule
Well,
rules.
see,
You're
that's,
right.
that's why
but
I wouldn't
Baccarat
play
was always, I said it right. It was always like the higher class game. They like I said, they went with Hold'em to sort of bank on the popularity of the game at the time. Not to
Exactly.
mention,
Well,
if you're going to be showing the entire game, it helps that people understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I was
Right.
going to say, I think it was to help the people to really get into it more than the popularity, because people know general card hands, so you get really
Right,
sucked
well,
in
and
going,
exactly, and
oh
this-
my god,
this-
he got flopped a double eight, which apparently
A lot of this
called
movie
octopus.
was based around the card games,
Yeah.
But
and how well you one did in said card games.
But one of the things I got to mention is that this movie does justice to poker, unlike most of the movies that kind of just throw a poker game in, other than Rounders or something like that. This one really shows it as a classy kind of game and a fun game, and it always makes me want to play poker watching this.
Yeah, and it doesn't play dumb to the audience very much. I mean, it definitely goes for the big, hands and the royal flush and things like that to make it more exciting. But
if I remember correctly, James and I saw this in theater together. And I remember James saying a comment saying this is the first time I ever saw a movie that explained how you actually play poker.
For the most part, there was a couple
where
things
somebody's making bets you agree with.
It was more the comment about actually playing the player, not playing the cards.
Well,
yes.
Right.
The tells, talking about the tells, that was in 2006. That was still pretty new, although
right. But again, I mean, this 2006 is when it started to hit ESPN all over the place.
Yeah.
You couldn't turn on a sports thing without seeing the World Series of Poker.
Yeah.
Right.
And on top of that, one of the things I always thought was, it was always a little fish to me watching it, and all of a sudden, Bond wasn't expecting the chief to use his tell against Bond. It's a pretty obvious damn tell. You can't play the game well and not know that you have a tell.
Yeah.
Right. And so he used that, and of course now we found the traitor.
Yeah.
By that fact that there's only two people that he told the tell to.
Yeah.
And one's the girl, and one was his backup supposedly.
By the way, I love the casting. Besides this movie, besides the Daniel Craig, I love Judi Dench.
Yes.
And I love.
Oh yeah.
The one thing that surprised me about picking her is because she was also the M in the previous Pierce Brosnan Bond. But I think the difference in this version is this version of M was, more realistic. Like, she was cold.
She's cold. She was meaner, tougher, colder.
And I also think that's why one of the reasons she liked Bond is because the fact Bond was always one step ahead of her.
Well, you remember she always had the hots for Bond. In all the previous Bond movies. This one, there was no hots. This was, you do your fucking job or you're gone.
Well, that's one of the reasons I think she liked.
Yeah, sorry about that. Beep.
But I think that's one reason she liked Bond is because Bond knew her first name and nobody else did.
Right.
He knew her passwords and nobody else did.
Knew where she lived.
Yeah,
nobody else did.
He was actually ahead of Bond.
Yeah.
So now I want to throw in
he
something.
was ahead of her.
I want to throw in something here. Is Daniel Craig to me as playing Bond is actually my second favorite Bond.
George Lazenby being first.
He comes after Roger Moore. Roger Moore being the initial Bond that they wanted to put in for the movies. He wasn't available at the time, so they went with Sean Connery. Do you actually know how many Bonds there were?
Let's see, Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton,
Connery,
Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, and I just forgot one, Sean Connery.
There's 11.
Yeah.
11? Oh, well, I mean, are we counting like David Niven and...
We're talking about on the radio, TV.
Oh, okay.
And
so the whole franchise.
I was just talking about motion
This
pictures.
has been something that has been going on in the British network for, let's go back to 1954.
There's also been 12 Doctor Who's. What's the point?
Oh yeah, well, if you look at the awards that this movie won, most of them were the BAFTA, which is the British version of the Oscars.
Yeah.
They won a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie just kicked ass.
Yeah, because those are people who grew up on Bond movies, and then here you go is an awesome Bond movie. Somebody who took it really earnestly, and I've heard a lot of people kind of give shit to the movies, the type of movies. I don't want to see the dark Batman or the dark Bond. It's like, well, I do. I want to see somebody take these characters sort of seriously.
That was actually the one thing that gave me hope for the franchise, is Pierce Brosnan's Bond was always very cartoony, very comically. This was the first Bond that I actually saw going, we're actually going to see a dark, brooding, murderous, cold-hearted Bond, what the character should be.
What the character really should be. If you think about it, alcoholic, murderer, womanizing piece of shit.
Yeah. You see, that's what I'm going to go back to, is Roger Moore played very similar to this same character of a Bond. He wasn't so much of a womanizer. He didn't really have a lot of things that he wanted to take with him other than a gun. He wasn't as gadgetry as, let's say, Pierce Brosnan character was,
the cartoon,
or Connery's character was. He did have some gadgets, but the thing I gotta say that I really appreciate a lot about is that Daniel Craig's character, he didn't have all those gadgets. What did he have? A defibrillator in his car?
Yeah.
He didn't have machine guns. He didn't have an oil slick canister.
But he did imagine.
Didn't have a jetpack. Didn't have a shuttle.
But he didn't
have a helicopter inside of a crate.
But he did have a silenced gun that somehow was able to fit inside a vanilla envelope.
That was
that's
something
true.
else. But,
Well,
that's one of the things...
you
You know what I have? My problem with Roger Moore, though, James, was that he was too much tongue-in-cheek for me.
Yeah, he did play a lot of kind of things like
that.
Yeah,
and I liked the dark Bond that Daniel Craig played. I really did. I thought.
Yeah, and he had a little more of a sicker sense of humor.
Yeah.
He still had sort of the quippy Bond stuff. There was all of the quintessential Bond-isms.
But going back, he did play a very cold character, as John is saying. He didn't start out that way. There was a couple moments where he started to fall in love with certain women, and he even says it to Vesper Lynn, Eva Green, is, you're not my character, you're not my type of woman because you're single.
You're single,
type thing. And the married woman, you kind of saw his face change in that when he sees her killed and tortured right there.
Well, I mean, also look at what we're supposed to be seeing. We're supposed to be seeing sort of the birth of this character that we know as James Bond.
Yeah.
Of the greatest...
And like we said, what do we know about him as far as, okay, he's an alcoholic, he likes chicks, pretty much the sailor who's got one in every port. There's a reason that he's like that, and this is sort of how he becomes that way.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'd love to have his car.
I
wish they didn't destroy it.
I did like.
Yeah, I wish they didn't roll it in 5 minutes.
Man.
The other thing I really want to throw in is this is a very few. This is one of those times that I'm going to say something that I don't usually say. Is this one is actually better than the original. Mm-hmm. If you've ever seen the Peter Sellers, Woody Allen,
well, that movie was a total farce.
It was a farce movie, but it was made before this one. Had the same title, very similar storylines, even though it was a comedy versus a drama action. A lot of the movies made in the '60s that were kind of like this and remade later in the late '90s, early 2000, i.e., Italian Job, Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
I don't think they were as good as the originals. I mean, I love the Michael Caine Italian Job. It's way better than the remake.
The Italian Job that was made with Mark Wahlberg might be one of the shittiest action movies I've ever seen.
But that movie was all tongue-in-cheek. If you actually watched it,
loved that movie.
It didn't.
It's very popular.
Well, I like the new Italian Job.
But it's because of Mark Wahlberg.
I like the new Italian Job because it doesn't take itself too serious. If you actually watch
Have you watched the Michael Caine version?
Not yet.
Okay, you need to sit down and watch that one and then think about the remake and see what you think.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I'll say what you just said about the remake of Ocean's 11. I love the original, but I thought the remake was perfectly self-aware of what it was doing.
Well, to get back on Casino Royale, the first thing I wanted to, the first time I saw this movie made me comment, there's a random guy running at the tarmac at a major metropolitan airport, and nobody stops him.
Yeah.
Until he's...
Well, you big tarmac like that, it's not exactly a whole lot of people standing
Don't
out
forget,
there.
this is 4 or 5 years after 9/11. This is post 9/11.
Well, I like the fact that they destroy a building in Venice.
Oh yeah,
and nobody bats an eye.
Right?
There goes
another one. Buildings sink into the sea all the time over there.
Happens all the time.
And the other question I have is, right? So the bomb guy in the Miami airport has a suit, right? And it goes through the X-ray machine. My question is, wouldn't the X-ray machine pick up the logo? Wouldn't that make him curious enough, going, sir,
we got nothing to say to that.
Yeah, we got nothing to say to back to that one. Moving along.
I wanted to bring up something else. This movie starts with the best foot chase I have ever seen.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down, thank you for the rest of the applicants. You're all playing for second.
Yeah.
The parkour scene.
Yeah, the parkour stuff.
Parkour stuff is, and I think
I love the catch of the gun and throwing it back.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite. Really gonna throw a gun at me and not hit me?
even
the guy diving through the little hole, Bond just punching through the drywall.
Even how
filled
Bond
with those.
That was excellent.
I loved, my favorite part of the whole scene was the end, right? At the end when they're in that, what it was called, the embassy, and the guy says, surrendered. James Bond throws down one gun, picks up another, shoots a tank, and then by the time you hold notice, Bond is gone.
Right.
That whole scene was really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, one more question. Everybody's favorite horrible and hilarious torture scene. What did you think?
I know it has one of your favorite lines.
Okay, look, taking aside the jokes that have been made about it over the years, I'll say this. That is an effective torture.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I love that. The best part, though, I think, is his one-liners. I mean, that's what makes that scene to me.
To the right.
Even even for Bond, the pain got so great that his relief out of it was making these stupid remarks to his torturer, and he laughed his way through it.
And it's not like the Pierce Brosnan Bond where he has all the martinis in Reservoir.
Yeah. I also like, speaking of quotes, I like the one where he didn't give a damn about how his martini was made.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's shaken and stirred. Just give me a martini.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go to that. Let's pull that one up. I know John's favorite quote, but what is your favorite quote of the movie?
I think for me it was that one. I really got a kick.
I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I don't give a damn.
That was a good line.
Yeah.
Mine is when M walks into her house and goes, "You got a bloody cheek."
And then right after that says, "I also thought M was a random, don't you?" Oh, by the way, the cocktail that he orders on the scene, when he's at the table.
Yeah, the Vesper Martini.
Was actually made for this book by a friend of Ian Fleming's. It's an actual drink.
I know. I knew that. Yeah,
but one of the ingredients isn't actually made anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it?
We can't make it?
Well, they have alcohols that taste similar, but they're one of the original ingredients. I don't have it up. It's actually not around anymore.
Because I thought we would get James to serve us those next time.
Right?
Well, there goes that.
Well, anyways, honestly, out of all the Bond movies, this is actually one of my favorites. And that's saying something because like you said, there's like a ton of Bond movies out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, is before Roger Moore was my favorite Bond. I mean, there was some certain movies that I like Sean Connery, but there was also certain movies that Sean Connery was in with Bond that I just thought were way too
60s.
Extravagant is what I would use the word for. And there's a couple Roger Moore ones where it's way too extravagant. I think he's in Octopussy, which is a very extravagant, campy, way weird sets and villains and things.
Too far out.
Yeah.
Really, way far out.
I think with Bond, since there's so many Bond movies, unlike most movies, this is a very product of its time. Like every Bond is of that era. If you look at Pierce Brosnan's, it's very, very
of the
90s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it spawned some of the best video games.
Oh yeah, but I mean the Roger Moores. So that's the one thing I like about the Bond series. Is the progression of how they tell the story. Of being either gadgetry or being a very dark, brooding character, or I like that.
Okay.
Well, like you said, man, he's a product of the times. It's like Batman. There's always going to be a new Batman for the new generation to relate to the new people.
Yeah.
Poor people from the 60s. Dear God.
Yeah. No,
well, it's one of those series that they can keep going to a certain point, as long as Ian Fleming kept writing books. Now we're at a point where what's next, and if there'll be another Bond movie.
No, the alleged...
Well, there's supposed to be another Bond.
In 2016,
what's really interesting to sort of jump ahead 2 movies, and kind of encapsulate the entire sort of trilogy thus far with Daniel Craig. Have we talked about Skyfall? Did we do that?
No, I wasn't mentioning Skyfall yet. I think we might have done it as a movie though.
Yeah,
I think we did. But on the basis that we did, I'm going to say this anyway. The fact that it sort of ends, like where Dr. No sort of starts.
Yeah.
With the male M, that office that looks exactly the same, Moneypenny's desk right outside. I mean, it's set it up for, like the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, of course they have to sort of. I mean, it's like the birth of the new franchise.
I have to say though, my favorite part. One of my favorite parts of this movie
is in Skyfall.
Yeah.
He was in Skyfall. He was what's his name? That kid from Perfume.
Yes.
I was going to say, one of my favorite things about this Bond, though, is it really ties into Skyfall. When Vesper or whatever was talking about that James Bond was a poor kid and was this and was that, and then in Skyfall they introduced the character that Bond was filthy rich.
Yeah.
You know, that was the part that I actually thought was
probably
really,
because he
really...
got all the money from Casino Royale.
Well, I mean,
But he also had a black credit card before
no, but his
he even
parents,
played poker.
his parents
That's true.
owned.
That's
right, yeah.
The parents owned were rich. When they died, because they owned that huge mansion, and he came from money,
Okay.
which I thought was.
Well, yeah, that's.
Well, you know, he went to like Oxford and shit.
Right.
But the thing is,
Yeah, we did Skyfall.
as we talk about an upcoming new Bond, it's just what story are they going to do? I mean, there's tons of books written. They could just take one of the many books that are written that hasn't been turned into a movie or TV show yet.
I'll be honest.
Right, or I mean, even really just start retelling the stories.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Most people haven't seen.
I want to see something original. I mean, not book based,
Well,
not movie, not
That's
not
what we
script.
just said.
Let's keep knocking. Gosh darn Hollywood, we want something new.
Well, no. I meant for a Bond, because all the Bond
Pretty much.
aren't all the Bond movies books. I want to see one that's not booked based. I want to see what they can do.
I mean,
when-
some other writer just, here's a piece of paper, write a Bond book.
Yeah, I want to see where they can take it when they don't have any ties to story from previous creations. I want to see what they can do.
So you
Is
want
it
to see a
good or
movie
is it
that
no?
sucks.
I mean, I don't understand it. How would your where would your reference
Well,
come
it's
from?
because what you do. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
it wouldn't be a Bond movie. I
No,
mean, you
well,
could
it'd be
do
a
that
Bond
with any
movie.
spy movie.
It'd be a Bond movie because you got the basic universe, you've got the basic storylines. Because, honestly, 99% of all James Bond movies are exactly the same.
Tell you what, Jonathan, sit down and write that book and make us a bunch of money.
But you guys aren't curious if they take that universe they've created and then write something completely original?
Well, they took a universe that Ian Fleming created.
Well, yes, but they
It's like saying, to somebody, hey, we have enough of the universe of Lord of the Rings. Somebody else write something new. It's not going to sound anything like Tolkien. Just like a new one isn't going to sound
Tolkien.
anything like Ian Fleming.
Well, at this point, how similar are any of the movies to actual James Bond? I mean, to the actual character Ian
I'm not
Fleming.
going to sit down and read the chick book.
Right? No, I'm just.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Casino Royale felt pretty, close to the book from what I understand.
Well, I'm just curious and see where they could take it, because I just curious to see if it would be good or bad or not. But that's
Down
just
the
me.
drain, like a Transformers movie?
Well, that's come on, that's the director.
Okay, down the drain like a Shamalala Ding Dong?
Okay. So
Down the drain like Batman Forever or Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
Batman
the
and Robin.
last Bale Batman.
Yeah?
Oh, come on. You can't even dare lump those in with Schumacher's.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I actually got to agree with Ryan on that one. That's a low blow.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's a
there's no way you can
little
make that
mean. I'll be honest. It's a little.
That's like a knotted rope to the balls.
a little to the right. So Ryan,
Did this guy did he tie those knots all by himself too, or?
Don't know.
so Ryan, what do you give this movie?
Oh man, that's a solid 4. This is there's no reason to give it anything else.
Rob?
Oh, a big time 4. Very entertaining, fun movie, great graphics. I loved the scenery, the locations they filled on. Where they were filming was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
James?
Yeah, I agree. 4.
So I give it a 4 to 5, but I have a couple of reasons. Is one, I actually love this version. I mean, to me, this is the best James Bond movie
I'm not giving
made.
a damn reason. It's a 4.
No, well, I have a couple of reasons, and one is this was the first Bond movie that actually gave me hope in the series, and then Quantum of Solace came out.
Okay. But really, you were gonna say that this one?
I
There was
think,
no other Bond movie that stuck out to you that you liked. I mean, like
Well,
The Spy
not-
Who Loved Me,
Well, I mean, the reason why I say it is because I love the other James Bond
From
movies.
Russia
but-
with Love.
But this is the reason I like this one, because it was a dark, gritty. It was a couple of years before Batman Begins came out, or something like that. So I had this image of a very darker, very brooding Bond, and I didn't get that in the other one. So that's what I was
See,
hoping.
that's interesting. I was coming from a place where I was a huge fan of all of the Bond movies before and didn't really know what I wanted from Bond until seeing this movie.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
this is,
I get
that
that.
was-
Except
that
for
was
I wasn't a
after.
fan of all of them. There were a few.
Well,
that-
obviously, I'm not a fan of Moonraker or the one that was filmed under fucking water.
Yeah.
Well, no, I meant
Octopussy?
because after I saw this,
agree.
I had a lot of hope for the series. So for me, that always has to be tied into it, is because that's part of my experience watching this. Going, they're finally making a Bond movie that just has what I always thought most Bond movies are missing.
I don't know. Spies Like Us always gave me hope.
But I'm also
Of what?
I love that movie.
I'm also a big fan of GoldenEye. So.
All right, I know.
So-
I'm a huge fan of GoldenEye because of the video game.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it.
Yeah. So the next part of the show is movie news, and it's the old guy's turn.
Oh, guys, got some movie news, old-fashioned movie news. Actually, I printed them out because I got
like
tired
black
of
and white.
losing the page. Yeah, black and white.
So when he was a kid,
When I was a kid, yeah. Well, so we've
they were
got.
silent. They were called talkies.
Yeah, really, they were. We've got a Birds remake coming up. I don't know if you guys knew about
I
that.
didn't.
Is it still Crows?
Yeah, but they found another director. I guess they're going through directors like crazy. And
Since the original's dead.
oh, jeez. So yeah, unfortunately, right? So they found
On that
another
same note, though, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. There's like 3 seasons of it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Everybody go check those out.
I've
if
been
you haven't
watching it
seen
every
any of
now and then.
Yeah, it's really those are really good, and it was fun watching those as a kid. I'll tell you what, nothing
Freaking
scared me
fun
more.
watching them now.
Hey, the birds. The birds just scared the hell out of me. I had a friend of mine, I think I was in junior high school when the bird came out. Okay, I'll
Set
tell
the
you a
Wayback
story.
Machine
We
in
were watching it
1955.
on television. We watched it, and he was so intent on it. I went, boo! He went, ah! And it was one of these. I got him really good at that. So
You should
I-
have done
I'll
more
tell
of
you a quick. I have a quick bird story.
Yeah.
My dog back in the day, living at a couple of houses ago, dog was out in the backyard. Had caught a crow and killed it in the backyard. One of like 2 birds they ever caught in their entire lives. He was thrilled to death.
Your mole's running out of leaf.
Anyway, I start hearing like pawing at the sliding glass door, wondering what it is. Go out there, and the dog's freaking out. So I walk outside, and my backyard is being swarmed by crows. They were pissed.
Oh shit!
First time in that dog's life it ever got let inside.
Did you get the shotgun and load a bird shot?
Man, that's a
Oh
good
man,
story.
dude! I almost grabbed the BB gun and just start out there for some target practice. But I'm
You
thinking,
don't
oh,
need
that's when
BBs.
10,000
Los
birds
Angeles.
show up. There's a reason they call them a murder of crows.
I was going to say it's L.A. Just ask your local MS-13 member.
Anyway, so that's good. So it looks like we'll have another Birds movie. Here's the one that just we're all gonna be excited again. Arnold's back. So there's talks that are going to be a Terminator Genesis with the fan club. So
You see, now that's something I mentioned a while ago. Is what are they gonna do? Terminator on
well, instead of being in L.A., they're going to go to New Orleans.
Yeah,
So you
but
can see
he's
Gumbo.
old and wrinkly.
It'll be like Nazis on ice.
Well, I don't know. Nazis on ice. What are they going to do with this movie? I mean, are they going to go back? Is this going to be a prequel?
I
mean,
got
what
it.
hell
The
is this gonna be?
Terminator's going to have a walker.
A walker.
Seriously.
Yeah.
No, rascal.
Taking hits of Metamucil.
I mean, I don't
I'll be
understand this
back.
back with Arnold. I mean, come on. So that's going to
Well,
ruin that
Shriver
one.
stole all his money, so he's got to make something.
Oh yeah,
Are
like
they-
she didn't have her own.
Are they going to?
She's a Kennedy.
Are they going to bring back the kid from the second one, Edward Furlong?
Yeah,
I hope so.
He needs the money.
he does. So
He's got to be there to hold up Arnold. Give me your shoulder.
Zack Snyder says Batman versus Superman won't be as tied to the comic book mythology as we were thinking.
So
Wait, what are we talking about?
So we switched around
The Batman versus Superman
Man.
may not be tied to the mythology.
out of the comic book. So we don't
Yeah.
really know what we're going to get out of that one.
To me, my only one request is that it has to be
Is
tied
it like
to.
a box of chocolates?
It should be
Might be.
tied to the stuff that came out of the 80s. If it's not, this is going to suck. I really do think
Well, look, I've heard. Are you talking specifically about like the Dark Knight Returns or?
so. No,
That movie's gonna suck.
I'm talking about the comic books.
Well,
You know-
see, that's the thing. Is it's. I think what they might be leading towards, from what I've heard, and just a couple of on the rumor mill, is because everybody's saying Batman versus Superman. That's the word that keeps getting thrown around. But I don't think it's going to be that.
I agree.
A couple of people are basically saying this is going to be sort of the birth of the JLA kind of thing,
Yeah.
and they might just be flat out doing a JLA movie right off the top.
Well, because everything I've read too is they're supposed to allegedly there's going to be there might be like a Green Lantern with a couple other ones. I originally heard this is supposed to be a tie into the JLA, introducing other characters, maybe cameos.
Well, okay, so the little quote here out of Los Angeles Times says about the project, Snyder reveals that the script currently being worked on for the project holds no ties to any existing mythology.
Well, I mean, they're obviously going to have to take certain things, but they're just not going to tell any specific story that somebody's expecting, like such as Dark Knight Returns, where they beat the shit out of each other or whatever the hell.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I'll just say it again. The movie's going to suck.
I think it's
look, I have a lot of faith in
Scott
Snyder.
Yeah, it's got Ben Affleck, and now it's just falling apart.
But on the other hand, remember what you said about... Remember what they said about what's his name who played the Joker? I specifically remember you saying, this movie's going to suck out loud, and then afterwards you're like, oh my God!
Heath Ledger?
Yeah.
He said it was going to suck?
Yeah, because of Heath Ledger. You said it was going to suck.
No, I did not. I said
yes,
I was holding my breath and waiting. Now I said the same thing with Ben Affleck. Now they're fishing for a whole new freaking crappy script. It's going to suck.
Well, you know...
Just like the Superman movie sucked.
Here's the thing. It may actually not suck because, one, they're coming up with a new storyline, but it doesn't say they're still going to pick the ethos of Bruce Wayne.
Well, you have to go into what are they talking about mythology? I mean, they're still going to have the characters, right? You have to have Batman, you have to have Superman.
I guess Superman's going to be immune to kryptonite.
And they're going to have to have the origin story of Batman. They have to, or it's not Batman to have that story.
I don't know.
No, you look. How many times have you seen the origin story of Batman, dude? I mean, that is in the ether of the world.
Yeah, you have no choice. You're tied to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else they're going to do.
Wayne's
Superman. I mean, he's got to be the Man of Steel, so I'm not quite sure what the hell they're going to do that doesn't follow the mythology.
I'm assuming
what statement doesn't make any sense to me.
Assuming what they're talking about is no major storyline from the comic books, that it's a brand new storyline. It's the only thing I could think of.
That's the only thing I'm thinking.
Right, exactly. I mean, obviously they're gonna have things that make Batman, and Superman. They're just not gonna tell an existing story.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's gonna suck.
They should have They should have Kevin Smith.
I'll let James have his "it's gonna suck" thing right now, and then if a movie comes out and it doesn't suck, we can say, "Hey, we told you so."
I'll be honest.
I'll say, "Hey, I'm surprised." Cool.
It'll probably be like the Superman movie, which was, eh.
You know, if it doesn't suck, cool. It came out a win. If it does suck,
I'm not looking forward to that because James is gonna go, "I told you so."
Okay, so look here. What do we keep talking Hollywood?
I'll just say I'm not surprised.
We need something. We need something new out of you. What was the news that I brought? The only thing that I think I'll call new because it's so old is The Birds. But the Terminator with Arnold again. Give me a friggin' break. Batman and Superman, hasn't it already been done?
I'm calling it. I want a Running Man remake.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I've been saying that.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a movie that could deserve a good remake right there.
I like the Judge Dredd remake. That was a good one. Although it got swept under the damn rug.
So do you have...
Did you like the Dawn of the Dead remake?
No.
Do you have any more movie news? I know you had one about that fan-made thing. Did you want to talk about that?
The fan-made thing?
The Terminator.
I'm sorry. I'm losing it, John.
I know we talked about the fan-made film of Batman versus Terminator.
I didn't actually.
Oh, yeah, you did. Okay, I guess that wasn't something that was part of his
news. Tell me
so
about it. Yeah, I was going to bring...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/RealFlixReviews, somewhere down on there is a fan-made film, a short trailer of Batman versus Terminator. Take a look at it. It's actually quite impressive.
It is. For what it is, yeah.
It's very well made. I think we're coming into, even more so in the 90s, the era of the independent film, where you have Kickstarter, Indiegogo, you have mediums and technology to make amazing films. So support your local independent filmmakers.
I think what would be cool is instead of these 2 and 3 hour movies that are being made now, let's make an hour and a half movie and actually sit down and see 2 movies. I think that's the way it should be done. We used to go to the movies when I was a kid, and we'd go see 2 movies. And we had a double feature, and we had cartoons.
Well,
and newsreels talking about World War II.
No.
There's a drive-in theater over here that still does that.
I think. Well, there you go. But I think that's the way it
do
should
that
be.
with what was it called? The
Grindhouse.
Grindhouse. Yeah, he did the Grindhouse.
Oh, yeah,
a
Robert
while back.
Rodriguez and Tarantino. Yeah.
The movies
Anyway.
weren't that good.
No.
I don't know. It's just a thought.
But it was
I
a Grindhouse,
think
though. They did it on purpose.
I think Hollywood needs to, to reboot and start thinking about some of the stuff that they're doing and the directions they're going in. The dollars that they're spending on these movies are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I as we talked about last week, we're so impressed with the movies that are made for like $10 and $15 million. $10 or $15 million, holy crap! That's a lot of money, guys. And that's a cheap movie.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah, that's an incredibly cheap movie.
I have a suggestion for you. We did a special on short films, 20 minutes long, 20 minutes in length. Take a look at the episode. We'll probably do it again sometime this year, and tell us what you think, because we all would agree that the short films have a tendency to be amazing.
Yeah, and overlooked.
So.
Or unfindable.
Yeah. Or unfindable. and that's true, too.
Unless you're movie buffs and just look
right,
at movie
yeah,
news.
but, even for the average moviegoer, like you said, I mean, these things are freaking amazing. Somebody who's taken the time to make something 20 minutes long, for that much money really believes in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There was quite a few different little short films that we did that were really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, next week's pick is mine. I'm picking for the old guy, and I'm picking movie Swordfish.
Oh.
That has my all-time favorite bad guy, John Travolta.
Oh, okay. I liked Swordfish. Okay. I'll watch it again. I won't be like some of these other
Well, at least I know I'll get through the first 45 minutes, 45 seconds.
Well, I'm impressed. I know you've seen some of the movies you're picking. Like, I don't remember this.
It's true. It's true. I don't, but...
Well, I remember that was the first, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the first movie that Halle Berry ever
Yes,
did
yes.
topless?
Topless.
Tits,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She got an extra $500,000 for doing that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's why I remember, because it was such a
Yeah.
such a jump.
I'd show anything you want for $500,000. Whatever you want.
There's not much I want to see.
No, I didn't.
I
I wouldn't get the $500,000.
I would beg him. I would beg him to pay. I'd pay him more not to show
now.
it.
And that's it, folks. And even.
Ladies and gentlemen, the old guy's going to sleep. I gave the movie, Casino Royale a 4 to 5. James, Ryan, and Rob also gave it a 4 to 5.
4 across the board.
Next week's movie is Swordfish.
Swordfish.
And we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.